Okay, good morning. Welcome to Tech Tuesdays workshop series. Today we are covering how to use Navigate from the student perspective. And our presenter is Kevi Turcio. Welcome, Kevi, and I will let you take it away.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Terry. My name is Gary Tercio. Currently a part-time instructional assistant here at Learning Resources Wilson campus. I'm currently located at the computer courtyard, but although my job title is a instructional assistant, I'm more of a tech guy. I do help students, not just students, faculty as well, when it comes to reaccessing accounts, resetting passwords, explaining how to navigate through Blackboard and things such as that. I am currently also pursuing a certificate in accounting and budget, and I do plan on pursuing my bachelor's in applied science of supervision and management with accounting concentration. Since we'll go ahead and get started on the presentation. So we'll go ahead, and I already have the page open, but normally you would go ahead and just navigate to the college website. And once you're here at the familiar home screen, you will go ahead and cruise over to where it says portals. You will see two sections where it says students and employees. So of course, since we're going to go through in the student perspective, we'll go ahead and look under the student section and click on where it says navigate student. This here is the navigate homepage for the student perspective. So we'll go ahead and actually go ahead and sign in with our Miami-Dade College student credentials. And then I know as a student and my experience here, we as students have a tendency to write out our full college email address. But in this case, in most cases, it does actually work if you type in the full address. But for Navigate, it sadly does not like using a full email. So we'll go ahead and just type in the username, right, which is the first dot last name and the three numbers that you were assigned to. Go ahead and put in your password. Okay, okay. And close that up. This is the central homepage of Navigate. Though there is one step that I wanted to mention that it was not showing here since I had already done it since it's not my first time accessing Navigate. It normally portrays a survey of generalized questions that the system likes to ask the students to personalize what shows up in their Navigate page. They'll ask questions such as, oh, what is your current major? What kind of interests do you have? What hobbies? Or what professional experiences you have or things you would like to pursue in the future. Those kind of generalized questions, so that way it feels more like your page as opposed to a generalized page at other locations. So once you go through that survey, it'll automatically go here and greet you with a hey, your name here. So we'll go ahead and get started on with these tabs here on the left. There are several tabs, and of course, each tab has their own function. So we'll go ahead and start with the to-dos and events. Here at the to-dos and events tab, it's essentially more like a bucket list, so to speak. Here it'll have lists of things that the Navigate would suggest that maybe you should accomplish, or it'll also list college events or campus events that may be going on during the time. So when I say a list, it's more like a task list where, say, for instance, here, for an example, on do you need help paying for your classes? You normally, with this task, it'll go ahead and show you view details. You go ahead and click here, and it'll actually recommend you the financial aid department for all the campuses at the college. So it's kind of like giving you maybe either a quick reminder or a recommendation of additional information that you may be looking for in order to accomplish certain things that you need to do for the college. Go ahead and click back. And since it is kind of like a to-do list, when you actually click on this box right here, it'll actually cross it out for you as though you actually completed the task. Now, the task can vary whether it can be an important task or just a general task that Navigate may ask you to do to help further personalize your page. Another actually friendly user option is a reminder option. Once you click here where it says add reminder on the top right, you can actually create your own task. So here under reminder title, you can type homework due later tonight. You can also either check all day so it'll remind you all day or a specific time period if you keep it off. You can click either today, leave it on as today's date, or you can click on a date for the future. And here, so if you have this option off, of course, you can actually select what time you would actually like the reminder to come up. And of course, you can add your own additional notes to further explain what the reminder entails. So we'll go ahead and click on Save My Reminder. And it'll go back to the to-dos and events. Normally, it'll show it at the very bottom of the list, but since on my end, I do have a lot of options and things that I may have not done when by recommended by Navigate. It normally will portray here, and it'll show that reminder and what day it is due. And that's pretty much it for the to-dos and events list. Now we'll go ahead and go to appointments. This is essentially one of the most important features on Navigate, since a lot of times as students we would like to either speak to a tutor about maybe a math tutor or a science tutor, but it can also be an advisor, and we're not sure whether we can go ahead and walk in or we would actually have to schedule an appointment. So here on Navigate, you can actually set up appointments for with an advisor or a tutor. So here on the top right, where it says schedule appointment, we'll go ahead and click there. Once we click there, it takes us to this page where we go ahead and answer some questions in order to go ahead and set up the appointment. Here on this left side, the first question would be, what is the purpose for your appointment? You would go ahead and click on this down arrow, and it'll show two options, whether it's for advising or tutoring. In most cases, we'll go ahead and set up a tutoring appointment. In the second option, it'll ask us for what kind of support. We'll click on the down arrow, and it'll show us two sections. There's on-campus options, and when we scroll down, there's also online options. So you actually don't necessarily have to come to campus for the tutoring. We'll go ahead and just click on the writing and reading tutoring on campus. Here's also an option for the date you actually want to set up the appointment for. You can automatically leave it on the default to date, which is today, or you can also just go ahead and change it. But it's not necessarily an obligation to go ahead and pick a specific date at this very time. You can always change it later on. Okay. Since I answered the questions, I'll go ahead and click on Find an Available Time. Once we click on Find an Available Time, it takes us to this page. On this left side of the page, it actually shows all kinds of the filters that we can actually use to go ahead and find the appropriate appointment that we would actually desire. As you can see here, it actually shows the questions that we were asked previously, on what kind of appointment we wanted and for what kind of service. It also shows like a small calendar where if you remember what I mentioned that is defaulted to today's date, you can actually just use this calendar date that you actually want it. So say if I actually wanted it for the 29th, you can go ahead and just change it here. But also notice that it doesn't change the answers that we have for the questions that are asked us before. Right below the calendar, there are also three filter options. It's There's a staff option, and a course. Though at the moment, I would not recommend using the course filter, although out of habit, we will probably want to try to use it because not all courses are available. And if you try to click on a certain course, it may not accurately show the availability times for the tutor that you actually want to set up for. Of course, here on the location, what I mean by location is it can actually sort by the campuses. So it can show Hialeah Learning Resources, North, or Wilson, my home campus. And the staff filter is more for purposes of maybe you personally know one of the tutors, or you've already met with a tutor in the past and you actually just want to meet them with them specifically, and you don't actually have to meet with someone new. Here on the right side of the screen, it shows all the locations that are available for this specific date. So even though we're not using any filters, it'll still list all the locations that are available. And not just the locations, it also lists how many people are available during that day. As you can see here, for instance, under Hialeah Learning Resources, it shows that there are 5 tutors available today. And it also shows the available times for the tutors that are actually available at the specific location. So say during this list, we'll go ahead under Hialeah Learning Resources. There's a time that caught our attention. We want to set up an appointment for 8:15 to 9 a.m. So we can go ahead and hover our mouse over this option and we'll click on. Once we click on this tab, on that option, it'll take us to this screen. On this screen, the top half portion is more of confirming the appointment details. Did you set up the right appointment that you wanted? Did you set up the kind of service? You double check the time that you actually selected and the date, of course, the location, and also list what room number the location will be at, and also the phone number that you can use to contact, the tutor name, and any additional information that is listed. One thing I do want to point out, the staff, notice that there is a staff name, but we didn't necessarily specify what tutor we wanted to meet with. Since we only clicked on the time, the Navigate automatically just selects a tutor that is available during that specific time. Since we didn't really specify what tutor, it'll always automatically generate and pick what tutor will be most available at that time. Here on the bottom half of the screen, it's more of your personal use. Where it says, would you like to share anything else? Here you can type any additional comments you would actually like to let the tutor know. So say, for instance, there's a specific paper that you actually want to go over for a specific class. You can go ahead and add it here in the comments. Or say, for instance, it's not maybe for an essay per se, it's more of a resume for a job interview. You can go ahead and add that comment here as well, because they'll be more than happy to help you any way that they can. Under email reminder, these options are actually always checked for the reminders. And under email reminder, it'll always automatically generate and select your primary email, which in most cases, it will be your student email address. Though in my case, since I am a staff member, it automatically defaults to my staff email address. And under text message reminder, it'll give you the option to list your phone number. In a lot of cases, not everybody lists their phone number in their student account, so sometimes this option will be blank. But of course, you're always welcome to list it right here. So I can go ahead and delete my number, and I can just type in any other number that I may be more comfortable with. As you can see here, I deleted my original phone number and it still let me put in a different phone number. Go ahead and delete that for now. And once we go ahead and make sure that everything is correct, we'll go ahead and click on schedule. And it'll take us to the success page. We successfully set up our appointment with our tutor. From this screen, we can go ahead and actually click on view appointments. Even if you don't click on here, we can go ahead and just select the appointments tab over here. But we'll go ahead and click this. Once we click on that, it'll take us back to the home page for the appointments tab. And it actually lists our appointment right here. We can go ahead and click on this. And it shows our appointment details that we set up for. Also on this page, we can actually cancel our appointment. As you can see here at the bottom of the screen, it says cancel appointment. So we can go ahead and click that. It'll ask you for the reason you're canceling the appointment. For presentation purposes, I'll go ahead and just click on other. And you can maybe further elaborate on the reason you're canceling the appointment. I'll go ahead and click on cancel. And it went ahead and canceled the appointment for you. Go ahead and click on view appointments again. And the appointment is no longer here. Whenever you set up an appointment and cancel an appointment, you will always get a reminder via your email. So when I originally set up the appointment, it sent me a confirmation email and a reminder of setting up the appointment. And once I canceled the appointment, it also sent me another email letting me know that it was canceled. And it also displayed the details of what I actually selected for that appointment. Okay, and that's essentially for the most part what appointments is. We'll go ahead and go to the next tab, which is Study Buddies. This feature is actually relatively new to navigate. What this is actually shows you a list of all your classes that you currently enrolled. So these are the 4 classes that are enrolled in for this semester. And it kind of like creates more kind of like a online group where you can actually join and meet and communicate with your other students. Well, I'll go ahead and show you an example. I'll go ahead and join this group right here for my managerial accounting lab. I'll click on join, and it'll always show this window right here. If I'm asking me if I'm actually interested in joining the study buddy group for this class, I'll go ahead and click on yes. And it'll change the status to join. It'll also here, it'll list and show that how many people are actually in the class as well. And in this case, it's only one other person. We'll go ahead and click on this arrow, and it'll take us to this page. This page right here is essentially a list of all the people that are in the group, including yourself, as it shows right here on top. And not only does it show the list of the students that are also in the group, it also lets you give you an option to email that specific student. There are cases where us as students, we don't always necessarily feel comfortable sharing our phone numbers to other people, especially when we first meet them. This option here on Navigate is kind of like a more of a friendly and generic option where you can actually communicate via email. And you can actually maybe set up times, set up location meetings, where you actually want to maybe either meet in person or maybe meet online, since right now a lot of us are for sure taking online classes. And we can just speak that way. And that's more or less essentially what this feature is. Of course, you can actually leave the group. Maybe you didn't mean to join this group specifically. You can go ahead and click on the leave group option here on the top right. We'll go ahead and click this. It'll ask us a question to verify if we actually do want to leave the group. can go ahead and click on yes to leave. And you'll see that it took me out of the group. But of course, you can still always rejoin if you actually didn't mean to leave a specific group. Okay, so from here, we'll go ahead and go to the Resources tab. Here under the Resources tab, it kind of shows like additional information and campus locations where you can receive either student services or contact information for your professors, or just maybe locations to eat if there's a cafeteria on campus. It'll always default on the Places tab, as you can see here on the top left. And it always starts off at on the Academic Support tab, which is essentially our Learning Resources department, or the libraries, and the Remote Learning Resources at the very bottom of the page. Not only does it show the library, the list of the libraries on the campus, if you click on the name of it, it'll also show you the phone number you can call to contact a specific library, while also showing you the room number of where it's actually located on campus. Under athletics, it's actually it is supposed to be a list, but right now since there's really only an athletics tab on Kindle, this is kind of like where their gym is located for the most part. Under campus and safety, it shows you where the parking garages are located on every campus, and not just for parking, but also the security offices on campus as well. Under clubs and organizations, it'll show a list of specific clubs at each campus, and maybe not just clubs, but whole organizations as well. Since there is an Institute for Civic Engagement and Democracy at every campus, there's also the student life offices here on all campuses as well. Under the health and wellness, it'll show the counseling at every campus. As you know, us as students who may be going through a difficult time at the moment, there's always someone that you can speak to in regards to that. And under the student services, it'll show all the student services that we have on campus, whether it be access, admissions and registration, advisement, the bookstore, the bursar office, and more. And the Where to Eat tab is a list of all the cafeterias that are on campus. If it's not a cafeteria, maybe a specific restaurant as well. As you can see here on the top left, we were under the Places tab. Well, there's also a People tab. As I mentioned before, there's actually a way to see your content, the see of your contact information for the professor. So once we click on People, it actually shows a list of the professors that you're currently taking classes with. Say in my case, I'm taking two classes with the same professor. This is his name right here, and I also list both classes that I'm taking with the professor. Us as students, we always had a difficulty trying to figure out how to contact them via email, or maybe locate their office number or their office phone number. We couldn't, obviously, of course, they will always list it in the syllabus that they sent, but maybe at a certain period of time, we either can't find the syllabus that we printed out, or we can't find the specific email that they sent the syllabus in. You can always use Navigate to actually just go to this tab under People and actually just click on the professor that you want to contact. Once you click on the professor, it shows their email address. And in this case, he doesn't necessarily have a phone number. So let me go ahead and click back and click on a different professor. And this professor also has her phone number here, as you can see. Now, if it was an in-class, it was an in-person class, it would also list the room number as well that the class is in. But in this case, since all my classes are online, that option doesn't appear. And that's pretty much it for this tab. Okay. We'll go ahead and move over to messages now. Under messages, although it does appear to be a blank screen because I haven't really set up any appointments as of recent, but normally under this tab, it'll show all the messages that you receive from either your tutor or your advisor, since you do remember that you can also set up appointments with your advisors. Whenever they send you a message, it'll normally pop up under this tab here on this page, and you can go ahead and just respond to that message directly to them. And of course, it'll only show that option if you receive a message from their end. There isn't really an option on our end as a student to be able to send a message to them directly. But for the most part, whenever receive notifications that you received a response from either a tutor or your advisor, this is where you would go to respond to those messages. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to class schedule. Of course, under class schedule, it shows the schedule for the classes that you're taking for the current semester. Since right now we're on fall of 2021, it'll show the classes that we're taking for that current semester. Of course, on MDC Connect, there is an option to also save your courses, but not everyone knows how to navigate through that. And also here at Computer Courtyard and Learning Resources at Wilson, I do help a lot of students trying to access and look for their course schedule to be able to print them out. This is here on Navigate, you can also do the same thing, and it kind of shows a more color vibrant and user-friendly list of the classes. It'll show your class, the class details, the class name, and for how long the class is going to last as well. Not only does it show the details of the class, if you were to click on the class code, it actually, at the very bottom of this screen, it actually shows a description of what the class is like, kind of similar to when you actually enroll for the class, and it shows you a brief description right before enrolling for that specific class. And it also continues to show the location of where the class is located, the days and times, and the start and end dates, along with the professor name and the class number. Go ahead and click on Go Back. This is the list view of the course, and there is also a schedule view where for the current week that we are in, it'll actually show you a view of approximately what times your classes will be like, or kind of like how your schedule is going to be for the day. Sadly, there isn't really a way to change the dates of what this schedule view presents. It'll only really show the current week of how it would look like. But if you're not a fan of the list view, you can always use this to see what days your classes are, for instance, on Monday, and around what time and what classes you will be taking during that day as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the My Major tab now. Under My Major, it of course shows you the current major that you're pursuing, since if you recall at the beginning of the presentation, I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor's in Applied Science of Supervision and Management with an accounting concentration. Under that, it also shows how many required credits it is to receive the bachelor's. It actually shows an average salary for this kind of major that I'm pursuing, while also showing an estimated tuition of how much it would cost to completely finish the path. Here where it says view more details, we'll go ahead and click on that. And once you click on that, it actually shows you a list of top career suggestions for this current degree that I'm pursuing. So it'll show chief executives or legislators or the advertising promotion managers. It'll show a variety of different career options and suggestions that you can actually pursue once you completely receive this degree. And of course, it's different for everyone. It's not going to show the options that you see that I have here may not necessarily appear for you as well. It all really depends on what major you're looking under. We'll go ahead and click on one of these options just to show you. It'll show a brief description of what this position is like. And where it says what employers look for, we can click on show more. And it kind of shows you a brief percentage scale of what education level they would prefer you to have, how much experience they would like you for you to have as well, and the skills that maybe not necessarily an obligation to have, but recommended to have in order for this to have this position. And of course, it's the same for all of these options that you have here, not just mine, but yours as well. Okay. Before we go to the settings tab, I'm going to go ahead and click on this heart right here. Let me go ahead and click back. And as you can see, it also, the heart is still selected here as well. Let me go ahead and go to settings now. Under settings, it's kind of like any other application or program where if you go to settings, you can change some stuff to the program that you're using at that moment. So of course, it'll show my name, my student ID number, and also my student email address. Under my stuff, it'll show something like as update my profile, where if you're actually weren't happy with how you answered the generalized questions from the beginning or before you actually started using Navigate, once you click on this option, you can actually go ahead and change your responses to those generalized questions. And so that way Navigate can actually show different options based on those changed answers. Here under favorites, if you actually go ahead and click here, normally it'll show the favorites that are selected. For some reason, it's actually not showing the major that I favorited. So let me go ahead and go back to resources and we'll do a resource really quick. We'll go ahead and scroll to the library at Wilson since it is my home campus. Let's go ahead and go back to settings and click on favorites. And it actually showed this time. This heart is essentially kind of like favoriting a favorite link that you like to frequent here on Navigate. Since they're under the resources page or the majors, you may, for me, it's not as many, but maybe for you, the list may be longer and it may be a little bit tedious to continuously look for the specific link and location that you like to frequent. Once you favorite it and click on this heart, under the favorites tab, it'll always show it here. And it'll only show the ones that you favorited. So it makes searching through that list a lot easier. And of course, once you click on the heart again, it'll remove it from the list. Here under the update to do topics is also, is to update and change the to-dos and the events tab. It's mainly just general settings, of course. And of course, the notification settings, where if you want to receive a notification pop-up, an email, or a text whenever you get a new notification here on Navigate. There is one important feature that I wanted to point out here from Navigate, is where we're going to go ahead and under General, we're going to click on About. And under About, it'll obviously, of course, it'll show the name of the college, what browser we're using at the time. But one I wanted to highlight is there's actually a mobile app for Navigate as well for both iOS and Android. So not only is Navigate friendly for computers, but it's also mobile friendly. So you can, instead of actually having to rely on a computer or a laptop to log in to set up an appointment or check your messages, your class schedule, you can actually just download the app and from your phone, you can see all of this. It'll look exactly like this. It'll ask you for the same credentials to log in, and it'll show everything that I showed you here today will also show on the mobile app. And whenever you get notifications, it'll also pop up on your phone as well. So you don't have to constantly just check your email or your text messages. It'll always show a notification banner pop up whenever you receive a notification. And you can just click on it and easily check then and there, as opposed to maybe opening Google Chrome on your phone or on a laptop. And one last thing that I wanted to go over is I'm not sure if you ever noticed, but here on the top left, there's a planner option. We can go ahead and click here. And this is kind of like I'm never sure if you ever heard of MAP, but this is actually your academic plan, which is what MAP stands for. And it actually shows all the classes that are required for the current major that you're pursuing. And it also generate an automatic academic plan for you based on those classes as well. So you can either, right now, it's currently showing the classes that I'm taking for this current semester. And then also showing me suggestions of classes that I can take for future semesters coming up. Of course, if you see here, you notice there's a warning symbol right here. Is this symbol here is kind of like a warning letting you know that there is a class that you have to take before this. So my recommendation would be that although you can view this, you can also view and edit it as well yourself. It will probably be more recommended to save this part in general to when you speak to an advisor. So that way they can actually appropriately and correctly set up a academic plan for you. And you won't ever have to worry about seeing the symbols whenever you come here to check on what your plan is for that current semester. And essentially that's it for everything here in Navigate. Of course, if you ever have any questions or concerns, you can always feel free to contact me here. Of course, I am located at the Wilson Computer Courtyard. You can either call the courtyard or you can also contact me via email. I also have a presentation that I prepared to kind of give you like a brief summary of everything that was gone over today. So that way you don't have to rely on just this presentation. You can also just look back at that PowerPoint and to maybe find out if your question is answered on the PowerPoint. And also on the PowerPoint, it does also list all of my contact information as well.
Okay, thank you, Kevi. Thank you so much for this very thorough presentation about all the components of Navigate that are so important for students to be able to get information they need. I guess that concludes our presentation this morning. Thank you again.